from the public on matters considered by council at this meeting only. All councillors undertook an oath or an affirmation at the beginning of their term of office and declared to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Broken Hill local government area, the city of Broken Hill, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. This council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published via council's website. To those present in the gallery today, by attending or participating in this public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and/or General Manager have the authority to pause or terminate the stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory, otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. We have nil apologies, nil leave of absence. I call on Councillor Boland to deliver the prayer.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Gillett.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today, the land of the Wulyakali people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Gillett. Councillor Jewett.
Thanks, Kennedy. We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919 to 1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and our future.
Thank you. The first public forum session of 15 minutes duration will consider submissions from the public regarding matters listed for consideration at this meeting and also on general matters. The public have been advised through notices on council's website to register by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address council during the public forum session. Members of the public have registered to address council will be given preference, and then if time permits, anyone else present in the public gallery may address council. Speakers allocated 2 minutes to address council. Council did not receive any registrations, so I'll ask members of the gallery who would like to speak. If you just raise your hand so we have an idea. So we have two people that wish to speak. Yep. You want to go over to the microphone and just say your name for the recording. Oh, and three. Yep. Yep. Just over there, and if just say your name, so it's on the recording.
Yeah, Dave Wood, Cornish Street, Broken Hill. It's about footpaths and that. The ours gets flooded, and I've given you photographs of it. And the wife and me and the bloke 2 doors down from me, 90-year-old, he can't come out his front gate when it rains. And the backyard, you can see all the photos there, and it just needs something done about it. You can put it past the jail, which no one needs it. Done it past the police station, which was already cemented. I'm sure local streets could get done before stuff that was already there. That's what I'm interested in. And the back lane, which you can see by the photos. So
you know where the flood waters are coming from, Dave?
Well, our excuse has been told it's defrosting fridges out of the Woolworths. And I know it's not.
No. So is it backing up? Do you have any idea of?
It's since you've done that intersection in Gibson Street.
Right,
The big
okay.
dog legs on it and it slowed the water down.
Yeah.
But that's not the lane problem.
No.
Lane problem comes under Woolworths somewhere. I don't know.
Right.
I can chase it up and find it.
So as you know, there is a flood.
I know that.
Flood study, and yes, consultants are doing it, so it's taking a long time. But
that's not going to help our footpath.
No.
I'm
But
growing lawn to try and stop so you can walk from your car to that thing.
is it working?
A little bit, but
A little bit.
I've been on compo for a couple of years and I can't really physically do a lot.
Yeah. So we'll follow it up anyway, and when that flood study is complete, you'll get a copy of it. But some of those, and you did say you spoke to them. So what was brought up by people has been put into that flood study. and a few ideas how to mitigate it. It has information in it, the depths of different water when the floods are going on. So they've looked at historical data. So it is really interesting. So when you do see it, you will be interested. But council will look at it anyway and see what we can do in the short term.
No, that's all right, mate.
Yeah.
I'll come back another meeting and see how you go.
Yeah, well,
Right,
let's hope the flood study doesn't take too long. When is that due? Yep. Steve, just say your name for on the recording as well. Thanks.
Stephen Pascoe, also Cornish Street.
Oh.
I'd just like to echo what Mr Wood had put forward about the flooding of the back lane. Now that has gone on and on and on. I first brought this to notice when Ron Page was first mayor, and it has not stopped. You know, I've heard every excuse to defrosting fridges, to Silver City Car Wash, to Rob Fraser's thingamabob, it's frost off the Big W roof. I said, it's summer. Oh, well, can't be that. So I rang the other day and the girls said it was something to do with Woolworths and they're going to repair it.
Oh,
And it's still going as we speak. But we come up today, it was still running. We had the biggest drought in this region and that laneway still ran. It just went on and on and on.
oh, so that's a
Yeah.
different issue. That's not happening.
That's
when
still the
it's
same.
raining.
That
No, but that's not happening when it's raining. It's happening all the time.
all is
though.
happening all
Yeah,
the time.
right,
Yeah, it
okay.
hadn't rained for years. Yet
Right.
that drainway,
Right.
that
okay.
laneway still ran. And once
And
it
that's
gets down,
road lane.
yes, it is. Yeah.
Road lane.
It goes down to Perilia Lease and then that water's lost, never to be taken again. You know, and all this conversation that we had, pointing the finger at bloody cotton farmers. Well,
Yeah.
we're the biggest wasters. We're
Yeah.
worse than them.
We'll follow that up anyway,
Yeah.
Steve. So we thought, from Dave that it was, rain
No,
flooding.
just
So
that had gone in the biggest drought and
yeah,
that laneway would run.
yeah, okay,
Mm.
yeah, two different issues. Yeah,
All right.
no
thanks.
worries.
Cheers, mate.
Easy. Doug? Just say your name for the recording.
Hello, I'm Douglas Henderson. I'm the developer for Hines Street. And
Speak into the microphone if you could.
hello, I'm Douglas Henderson. I'm the developer for Hines Street. I've owned Hines Street for 2 years now, and I've been getting involved in the meetings to learn everything. And my time as a refrigeration mechanic, working on air conditioning, I've been contracting NBN, Centrelinx, been in Australia with Centrelinx, been port terminals, schools, hospitals. And before that, I was a civil contractor. I was a shot fire. Done the 12 subdivisions around Noosa Heads, Nambour, Maroochydore, and they love Broken Hill people. As soon as they see me with a handheld, they said, he's from Broken Hill, and I never got off that handheld. Everybody loved Broken Hill people. So I just spent years doing subdivisions. So when I come back here, I met Peter Baxter and returned to mechanical contracting, air conditioning. And I've been doing that for 7 years as a company, Broken Hill Air Conditioning Electrical Proprietary Limited. Mostly doing split systems and just everyday, pretty simple stuff. Then I come across Hines Street and I thought that's a perfect subdivision. So I started getting, I bought it, and it was a time when the water main was decommissioned, and I thought perfect timing. So I snapped it up, and it's been a bit hard on my business. Doing all the reports are expensive. You know, you've got to do all these environmental reports. There's quite a few of them done there with the lead testing and the railway line. And it's been 2 years putting these reports together, and they've done a really good job. The railway line is contaminated with some lead dust. The rest of the subdivision is the same as the rest of Broken Hill. There's a little bit of there, but it's nothing pretty common. So what we decided to do was leave the railway line there and cover it with grass. So we're going to buy a grass machine and cover that railway line. And the rest of anything that's not built on in lots 1 to 14, we will be grassing that too, landscaping and a 50 mil cap. So there's no any chance of any lead contamination or any environmental concerns to anybody, any of the neighbours. Everything's going to be really well done. The reports that we've done are documented there. They're the conditions of the approval have been really done by professionals. So the contamination concerns of the lead dust have been very well thought out, and even a little bit of an overkill because the rest of the land is not contaminated, but we're still going to put a 50 mil cap on that. And we also want to do some improvements out the front, some walkways. And we had a lot of interest. People seen me put up a lot of different types of housing. And what we've mostly got responses from is NDIS and aged care. Because kids are out of town. My granddaughter has got cerebral palsy, so I wanted to bring her back to town. And a lot of other people, a lot of my air conditioning customers want to bring their kids back to town. So the NDIS is, and I've met a few people along the way, and it's just growing from there. So the first 14 houses there would probably be 5 NDIS houses and a couple of rooming houses for aged care. So the idea is to bring the disabled kids back and stop the aged care people from leaving town because they haven't got accommodation here. So that's sort of why it's taken off a little bit more. So it's become a bit of a heartfelt passion for me to put this together. And I've been tied up with so many projects. I've got a diploma in project management, certificate in finance, and it's been a big learning curve, especially after spending 10 years with Peter Baxter as a mechanical contractor. And every time you learn something, you change. And this project is really everything that I am, the civil, the mechanical, the stormwater. I specialise in stormwater. On the subdivisions, they end up sacking all the labourers, and I took over all the contracts because it was just so much more efficient. And no one ever wants me to leave. I become the preferred contractor on NBN or Centrelinks, and I get the next job, and I go there. I get called up to port terminals, and I do a really nice job. So the people who've done these reports have also done a really nice job. And the recommendations I agree with. We should do the capping, the other works that the subdivision work certificates, the construction management plan, the detailed site inspection, the remedial action plans. All these have been really well done by professionals, and the whole project has been put together over 2 years. And my family, myself, it's doing this by myself. It's a big day for us. And so, and what's I'd like to talk about a little bit about the local environment plan of how good it is for the community, bringing these people back.
Just
Handicapped, disabled kids.
just one sec, Doug.
Yeah.
So does anyone else want to speak on this matter? All right, so,
Fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you can
I'll
get back
sum it up.
up, but just so that you can
Yeah.
probably address some
Yeah.
of the concerns rather than
Yeah.
go on. So if you'd
everything's
like
been
to
put
speak,
together very well, so.
but you
I'll
get
say
an
more.
opportunity
Yeah, thank you all
to
very much.
respond. Just say your name for the tape, Ross.
My name's Ross Howes. I live in Hines Street, and this man's got every right to buy land and do what he likes with the land, but that land was originally R1 rural and they were farmlet plots, but that's all changed. But there's been a lot of I'm not saying he's telling lies or anything, but as far as saying that the pipeline's been decommissioned, not as far as I know, they pump it out to Sylvan when it's dry and they bring it back from the reservoir when there's water there. And that's an easement across the front and it's been very hard to get across. And when they wanted to build in behind the old soccer, behind the caravan park, it was a major job to build a causeway over that thing. But anyway, that's man's problem, not mine. The report done on that block there by Meadowland or whatever they were called had a lot of confusing things in it, which were completely wrong. They door knocked the neighbourhood, which was never done. There's only 5 of us there in that street, and everybody there never seen anybody. The railway line's always been known to be heavily contaminated on the top. I mean, Broken Hill's contaminated everywhere. The lead over there doesn't worry me at all, but that's what it does. But that's what it says in there. So there's a lot of hard work for Mr. Henderson to do there. But, I mean, he can do what he likes, but there's going to be a lot of hard work there to get that land to be, there's that railway line's well known to be, and if you read the report, it's heavily, it's in there that says it's heavily done. But, and it says those blocks are surrounded by houses. Well, they're not surrounded by houses at all. They're surrounded by the cemetery and creeks. But I don't understand this man's way. He's paid his money and he's entitled to do what he likes. But I don't want to see, like there's a lot of money to be spent there and a lot of things, and I don't want to hear any more stories that aren't right. And somebody's got to keep an eye on it.
Thank you. Ross? You don't need it to say anything else, Doug? You can quickly answer. Only a minute though, because the 15 minutes is almost up.
Yeah, there's been a few offers and things that I could have done with the land, and I choose this because my experience in doing subdivision and all that, but really was what's best for that street. I want that street to be one of the best streets in town. I want it to be clean. I want it to be safe. My kids are going to live. We're going to live there. I want the environment more than it's anybody's recommendations. The capping of the whole soil, the whole place doesn't have to be done, but we're going to do it. We're going to grass it. We want the whole easement grass. We want all the front grass. We want it all beautiful, and it's going to be my legacy. So I really want to look after the neighbours. I want to really look after the town. The NDIS houses, 5 of them. There's actually every 10 NDIS houses is 100 staff. So there's a lot of employment there, and the whole project I think is going to be between 150 to 200 people. But stage 1 is a very small start. We're going to see how that goes. We're going to clean up the whole environment. We're going to clean up the easement, the train, and around that we've got some really nice ideas. And at the end of it, everyone's going to love what we're doing out there. So I really want to impress the neighbours, and I'm going to do my best to make sure everything's done right. The reports are going to, they're going to be the ones that are checking on us. We've got to do the site inspections. There's a lot of, I haven't got my book there, but there's a lot there that's documented in these recommendations with the approval. So everything's going to be really inspected and above board and everything. So it's really well documented. So I'll sum it up there.
Thank you, Doug.
I also live in Cornish Street. There is a little bit of water out in the lane. My experience would be to put a sump up there with probably a bit of pumping the water out, but that's not why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Minutes for confirmation. Can we have a mover for the minutes? Move Deputy Mayor Higgy, seconded Councillor Allgate. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Disclosures of interest. Does any councillor have any disclosures of interest to declare? No disclosures. We move on to the mayoral minute. Mayoral minute item number 1, Williama High School. Number 1, that the mayoral minute be received, that correspondence be sent to the Premier of New South Wales, the Honourable Chris Min, the Leader of the Opposition, so on and so on. The council appoints its councillor delegate to the Department of Education High School Redevelopment Reference Group for from the date of council's resolution, council's correspondence to the Minister for Education, and so we. Do we have an interested councillor for that? Yep, yeah, right to be on that. Can we have a nomination at number 3 that Deputy Mayor Hickey, someone like to just
Move that way.
righto, so we'll put that in there. So move that in my mayoral minute as a seconder, councillor Allgate. That council hold a public meeting following the Department of Education drop-in information session from the Williama High School rebuild for all residents, especially parents and students from all schools, to voice their concerns and provide feedback on the design and the effects it will have on the future education of students in Broken Hill, so that united voice can be presented. So seconded, councillor Allgate. Do we have any discussion on that? I'll just briefly say a few things. So it's come back that the floor space is significantly smaller than the current Williama High School. This is really concerning. Consider it was mould that affected that school. It was no fault of our own. So as a community, we'd expect insurance companies to give like for like. I made a comment during a meeting with the Williama High School. When you claim insurance on your TV, and you've got a 50-inch, they don't give you a 30-inch because there's only 2 people watching TV in your household. So we can expect to get the exact same size building when we have what ended up being a disaster for the school with mould. The other thing is the technical arts classrooms, woodwork, metalwork, textiles, cooking, visual arts. They're talking about 1 tech room. They are now talking there may be more than 1 and sorted out in different ways. People need to understand and remember this is for all classrooms from year 7 to year 12. What is happening at the high school or at the Broken Hill High School, where there is only 1 tech class at that building, we actually have year 12 students, year 11 students using the Broken Hill High School additional tech rooms. So it's already proven that it's not big enough where they are in a temporary school, and it needs to be considered and it needs to be adjusted. They are talking now 2 science lab classrooms, which is still isn't enough. We're talking 50% usage across year 7s to 12. That means there will be not much in the form of practical work. In Broken Hill, we want to have people that are physicists, chemists, and other science-based geologists, for example. We have a mining industry in Broken Hill, and we need to ensure that our schools actually promote and encourage those services. We don't want to have a fly-in population. The best way to do that is make sure we train our own. The building materials used in the design for the new school and the amount of glass used show a lack of understanding in the Broken Hill environment. So we need to make sure that the people that are involved, and Deputy Mayor Hickey, who will be on that, we need to make sure that they do understand. We have a unique environment out in Broken Hill. If it's done wrong, we're going to end up with air coolers that probably can't keep up with the heat that is going across that building. We've just announced that potentially Broken Hill Mines are talking 50 years, but likely 100 years of production. So when you have a mine that is talking about going out and going to exist for 100 years, it means we're going to have a stable workforce, a stable environment in Broken Hill for a long time, which means that our population will grow. There's no doubting our population will grow. How quick it grows, we won't know, but it will grow, which means that we need to make sure we get this school right in the first place. We all know what happened with the hospital. They forecast in 2003 that would be down to a population of 9,000 people now. That is why you are seeing at the local hospital extensions all the time because they built a hospital that was too small for what was needed, even though they were told by locals at the time that it wouldn't be big enough. And they used the figures that our population should have been 14,000 when it was actually 18,000. So they didn't care how many were living in Broken Hill. They decided through planning what they would do. There's no dedicated space for senior students, year 11 and 12. That was one of the outstanding things with the Williama High School. There was an upper room, a common room, which was used by year 11s and 12s, and it's what made it a special for those kids to go into senior classes at year 11 and 12. And some of the reason kids did stay in schooling for year 11 and 12 because they were made to feel special. So this is a really important matter that we have to get right, because if we get it wrong, it could affect our long-term viability or our long-term population growth. Happy Mayor, anything you want to say?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I had about an hour today with ex-Mayor Peter Black, who was Mayor for 20 years and was also head of the science faculty at Williama for many years. Peter's opinion, this is disgraceful, the plan. He had a look at it yesterday. When he was head of the science, they had 9 teachers with 8 science labs. So nearly each teacher had a lab. It was most important, as he said, science is a hands-on, not just a stand-up teaching class. Science is a hand-on class, and you must have a lab to be able to teach science and learn science. And so that was part of his thing. As he said, it accumulated 500 odd students at that stage, and it still needed more room. So it's ridiculous to build a school of this size, say it's going to hold 660 people, but obviously won't do it and won't. And with the size of the classrooms and that we've got to fight for it, and we've got to go in harder, find out better plans, and the whole town to support it. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Byrne and then Councillor Turley.
Yeah, I think we all agree, and I don't think there's many people in Broken that will agree that extra small is going to be the way. We need to go bigger. I think the government has a unique opportunity here to build something, the same size, if not bigger, with the latest and greatest technology. There's all these different ways of teaching these days, and I think the government needs to capitalise on that. I think council get behind it, and we should end up with something that should be a crown jewel in the department's crown. Like a brand new school in Broken Hill would never have happened unless what happened to Williama happened. So let's get the most out of it. The other thing that I would say is that if we go out to a public meeting as well, we would invite the teachers union, because they may not have felt comfortable talking in front of their bosses. They're the ones that have the power, because if we have a great school that wouldn't look out of place in the middle of Sydney, then you're going to get the teachers out here as well to teach those kids.
Thank you. Councillor Turley.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if you could include there a section that the Mayor requests a meeting with the Minister Carr as a matter of urgency. I think getting in front of the Minister would be critical in putting our case forward.
Happy to add that. Happy to accept that, Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to add to that, I think some of the councillors had an opportunity to pop in yesterday and have a look at the design, but more importantly, to listen to the conversations in the background. One of the things that, as you said, the science labs and everything else, but the fact they hadn't even thought about toilets for teachers tells me there's a lot missing in the plan. And I think it was reflected in the fact, I was shaking my head, but reflected in the fact that the data, I was told that the planning team had used data for the projected population, and that data is projecting our population a lot lower than what we are. So I think getting in front of the Minister, making her come to reality about what the challenges are. And I'd be curious, also, this design has been used elsewhere, and it's not a copy of a school, perhaps everyone down the coast, maybe not, and that we're actually having a copy of the school. So I don't know if that's correct, but that was some of the conversation that was used. But I think the critical part is we can write all the letters we write. That's great, but I think to let the Minister know that our community is not happy puts us in front of the ball game.
Thank you. So there's only a couple of extra small schools. One's at Parramatta, another at a small town which has a population vastly smaller than Broken Hill. When their school was replaced, it went from a school of about 300 up to 600. So they were over the moon to get an extra small school. So you got to remember, Parramatta, for example, has schools all around the area, and that small school would be able to, or the students at that school, be able to use surrounding schools and the facilities at those surrounding schools quite easily. They're talking about 30 rooms which would be a 700 plus school. That means it's 25 kids per class. At the current high schools, you've got modern history, ancient history, child studies, PE, etc. Many different classes that have only 8 to 10 kids in their class. So I don't know how they think they're going to pack, say, modern history and ancient history in the same class, because you won't get 25 kids doing modern history. You won't get 25 kids doing ancient history. You won't get 25 kids doing chemistry, etc. You're going to have kids that are spread across a wide range of subjects, which means there won't be enough room. So it's already identified that there won't be enough rooms within this school, even though physically the 30 rooms could hold 700 kids. The reality is the classes won't fit, and there won't be enough classrooms to provide the subjects that kids will want to do, which means the Williama High School will have a school that does not provide the same level of subject matter as it did when it was a fully run high school. Councillor Byrne?
Just another one that quickly popped in my head. You know, the population is what it is. It's growing. So we build something that's adequate. You know, it's easier to build a bigger building and downsize if you need to, than build a too small building and then have to put demountables and other stuff. So build it big, and if it's going to be small, then so be it.
You're not losing anything from not using a room. That's exactly right. Just before you go on, the council will be sending our population data off as well, where we're saying that our population will be 25,000 people. In discussions with the education department, it's really important to push the fact that we consider our population will grow, and the evidence behind why we believe that will grow, to try and get a bigger school. Councillor Holgate?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with everything that's been said. And as you started to say at the outset, the replacement school should be the same floor space as the original Williama, nothing less. And when the representatives came to Broken Hill initially, they said that they made it plain that it was an insurance job, that there was $100 million available. Now, if they can't build a high school, if they can't demolish what there is there and build an equal high school the same for $100 million, something's fundamentally wrong. But from a council perspective and from a community perspective, I believe that if the council's efforts fall on deaf ears, that there should be a delegation of councillors go and meet the Minister and the Premier and the Minister for Education, demand a meeting, and have our community reps tell the people who make the decisions that they're totally wrong. It can't go on. We're paying the price for the Broken Hill Hospital, based on about 9,000 people in the town. It's inadequate, and the high school will be inadequate too in 5 minutes.
I agree. Councillor Boland?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I think you answered the question. I'd love to know where they're getting this population data from, and maybe next time if yourself or the Deputy Mayor or General Managers in Sydney maybe popping in with some economic data that shows that they're completely wrong. And as you know, you can get anything in an economic model. If you put the right data in, you're going to get the response you want. And I'm thinking that's what the government's doing, because a quick search on Economy ID, which is used across the nation and for many government organisations, clearly shows Broken Hill population is growing and will grow into the future. So I think the state government needs to come clean and start providing the data they're using to forecast the city's population growth, because they've been wrong for the last 30 years, so I can't see them being right now.
It's from the Department of Planning and they haven't been right for the last 30 years. No other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have nil notices of motion, nil notice of rescission, nil reports from delegates. No delegate want to give a verbal report? No. Item number 14, Infrastructure and Environment Committee. Report number 3625, Development Application, Subdivision of Land in Hines Street. We have a mover for that. Move Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded.
In that way.
Councillor Boland, so what's been moved is that the Broken Hill City Council Report 3625 dated March 5, 2025 be received, that the development application 108 for subdivision of land at and associated earthworks and utility service installation of Hines Street, Broken Hill be approved subject to conditions as attached to this report. For the people that are here and interested in the report, the conditions that have been imposed on page 43, and they include subdivisions, work certificates, electricity supply works in accordance with essential energy requirements, location of all service conduits, water, sewer, electricity and telecommunications, vehicle access, construction management plan detailing the scope of the subdivision, site works, measure to mitigate noise and vibration, identify local traffic routes, temporary fencing during work. Some of the others, the CPA is also including details relating to the method of avoiding potential contaminated land. So there's a number of things on page 44, 43, 44 and 45 for those that are here and interested. Deputy Mayor Hickey, you moved the motion.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Yeah, look, council would have been hard pressed to knock it back anyway, because it comes under all the legal obligations of it. It's the right zoning and that. We are in need of housing, desperate need of land that we can build on, desperate need of housing. Congratulate the developer and hopefully, succeed and it goes forward well. I understand Mr. House's concerns, as we always have concerns on new projects and things that happen opposite or near us. But it will be done within the DA and done properly. Thank you.
I'd also like to say there was a concern in one of the issues raised by some of the people that lived in the area was the lack of door knocking. Can we have a look at that? Because I know that was one of the issues that were brought up. So we'll see what happened there. But for me, the same thing. The DA meets all the legal requirements that is needed. Some of the concerns that have been raised by residents in the area, we are all sympathetic to them, but they don't meet the planning reasons for knocking back a proposal. We have any speakers against the development application? All those in favour? So in favour is Councillor Turley, Councillor Byrne, Councillor Boland, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Jewett, Councillor Chandler, Councillor Gillett, Deputy Mayor Hickey and myself, nil against. Item number 2, Parks and Open Spaces Service Review. Do we have a mover for that?
Move the motion as written.
We have a seconder for that. Move Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Allgate, you'd like to speak to that?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Only to say that we're sadly lacking when you look at our parks and open spaces compared to those in the urban area. And what development we have undertaken is at much greater cost on each occasion too. But from a small community's point of view, I believe the the current parks and ovals and that we've got are well serviced, well provided, and improving as time goes by. If you look at some of the sporting complexes like the netball courts, which are almost completed, we have lots of facilities available for sports, albeit it's cost us more to provide them, but that doesn't mean to say we should stop. We need to do what we can as time progresses, and if the population increases as we expect, maybe there is a need to direct more funds to things like nature strips and so on.
Councillor Turley.
Yeah, just one thing, Mr. Mayor, and I think it was within the report, a good report, but on page 283, when they list kind of the other council assets, so maybe not primary parks or open spaces, is the airport hasn't been included, which is a very significant entry point for Broken Hill, for anybody visiting the garden out there, the Pearl Heart sculptures. I just couldn't see it within the report. And when it lists the other areas, it wasn't included as well. That was one that I think the community often raises, that we're not maintaining it as well as we should have. If it's in there, forgive me, but I just couldn't see it.
So that is incorporated overall, but not individually labelled or be similar for the area around other buildings. Yeah. Yeah, there was some very interesting things in there. Street trees per 1,000 residents. So 262 for the Australian average. Broken Hill has 1,400 trees per resident, which pretty per 1,000 residents, which is pretty remarkable. 1.4 trees per resident that lives here. Councillor Byrne, you.
Yeah, just to echo what Councillor Allgate said, I think we don't, the report says we have too many open spaces. I don't think we have enough. We've got a lot, and we should keep them, we shouldn't downsize. And the fact that we've got so many trees is a test to the climate that we're in, because we need that canopy to keep the city cool. Otherwise it will just be a hot box and it'd be even harder for people to live out here. So parks, we have enough. We shouldn't get rid of any, and having more trees is good.
Deputy Mayor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Look, I'd just like to make a special mention to our, outside working staff. I think they do a great job, and they all are proud of our city and how they keep it. And I know the more praise they get, the better they work, and we love them. So thank you.
Just say too that some of our parks and ovals and stuff are better than what you see in the cities, and it's a test to those guys as well.
Without a doubt, Councillor Boland.
I might add on to a little bit of that. I've had a lot of guests in Broken Hill over the last couple of weeks, and they all comment how amazing our parks and gardens and our open spaces are, and how the city looks. And that's from guests from North Sydney right up to the my regulator that I answer to at Liquor and Gaming New South Wales. All the bosses were in town this week, and they couldn't talk highly enough of the city and the open spaces. And I guess when you come from a concrete jungle that's as crappy as Sydney, it looks pretty good out here with the nice open spaces.
Just on the oval, so and the parks, it's not about downsizing. It was about what level you actually maintain each of those parks. For example, you wouldn't do the Picton Oval, not the ground itself, but you wouldn't have the Picton Oval to the same standard as the Alma or the Memorial Oval, for example. And your parks, some of your smaller parks wouldn't be as good as your Patton Park or your Sturt Park.
Yeah, I think the part that I was getting at was that some of the reports said that we have too many for this size town, for our size town, and that's not right.
Which wouldn't be right anyway. When council council has had other reports commissioned over the many years, and often it come back we did not have enough, not that we had too many. So, but in that report, that was more about the standard that you have each park or oval too. Just on the council workforce, one of our workers who said cleaning up around St. Pat's area never had such a sore back. So that's how much work was done over that period, and the town does look good. Councillor Boland mentioned it, but there was a number of tour operators that had spoke to me, and people were amazed at just how clean our city was. Some people that live in Broken Hill just don't realise how lucky we are. What was mentioned is the lack of graffiti that is around Broken Hill. People mustn't take as much notice as the weeds that we do, because we do notice our weeds, but maybe they see them as just plants. I don't know, but people were commenting on just how good they thought the city looks, and that is credit to the people that work maintaining those streets and footpaths. So well done to them. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Move to Community Development Committee, draft footpath restaurant setting policies for public exhibition. We have a mover for that. Move Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded Councillor Jewett. Deputy Mayor Hickey, you'd like to speak to that?
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Yeah, look, a great step in the right direction. Brings us up to the modern days of external dining. I know Broken Hill's not always great for it. Some of our hot days are a little bit sunny out there. Flies get to us and all that, but it still looks great along the street. And some of the barrages around the shops and that look really great. I just think it's a big improvement for Broken Hill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is nominations for appointment of community representatives in section 355 committees. We have a mover for
Move
that.
the recommendation.
Move Councillor Allgate, seconded. Councillor Boland, Councillor Allgate.
It's good to see that we have volunteers, good quality volunteers, and I mean, as a council, we know how difficult it's been, and we still are lacking in lots of areas, but at least we've got these people ready to be signed up, and I think that's good. Volunteers are very hard to find in Broken Hill at the moment. All the older people are phasing themselves out, and the young people don't seem to be terribly interested.
What was that? That young people not interested, did you say, Bob?
I said the old people, as they're being phased out, they don't seem to be replaced by younger people, because
No.
the younger people have got too many other things to do.
I think it's actually getting them committed to doing it. Once you get young people committed, they're just as committed as anyone else. The problem is actually getting them on the committee in the first place. There's a couple of young people in the Lions and Rotary, and they love it, but it's getting them there. Once you get them there, they're just as hard workers as anyone else. I don't know how you get them there. For example, we've all had some young people run on our tickets for council, and they were really engaged once they got involved, and they thought they could really believe that they could do the job, and they were really interested. So I think it's about, I don't know how we do it, but if you can get young people interested, that's how you'll save the volunteer groups around town. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Minutes of the 355 Ageing Well Advisory Committee meeting held February 2, 2025. Moved. Councillor Allgate, you happy to move that? Seconded. Councillor Byrne. Speak to that, Councillor Allgate.
Just simply to say that there's been a change to the Aged Care Act, and from what I believe, there have been some dramatic changes in that. And from a committee point of view, we are having the same problem with attendances at meetings. There are numerous people in Broken Hill that are involved in providing care services, or their providers. We don't get them all. We get a sprinkling of people that are well advised, and the sort of people that are valuable to the committee. But we should be doing more to try and encourage more people. as the mayor said before, I don't know how we achieved that. But the other thing that was raised in the report, in the minutes, was that there was a task force, an aged care task force, came to Broken Hill and looked at the service providers and Southern Cross Care, and apparently there's a thought that there may be some changes, but those changes wouldn't be made, if at all, for at least 12 months. They said the findings would take 12 months to be identified, and we can just wait and see. No movement whatsoever on the reclassification of Shorty O'Neill to Southern Cross Care, which is a big problem. As we all know, there's numerous hospital beds taken up by aged care people waiting for a bed in the nursing homes. And because of the MMM classification of Southern Cross Care, they just haven't got the staff, so the vacant beds can't be managed. We just have to keep plugging away at that, and hopefully at some stage get a result.
Any other speakers? Yeah, the amount of hospital beds taken up by people that should be in nursing homes is having a significant effect on acute care at the hospital. It also isn't good for the people that should be in nursing homes to be getting care in the hospital because the hospital is not set up for what is for aged care. So I couldn't agree more, Councillor Allgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Finance and Governance Committee, alteration schedule standing committee meeting dates for April.
The
Due to Easter.
recommendation.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Jewett. Councillor Allgate.
It's just a simple adjustment to the meeting dates because of Easter, and we won't inconvenience anybody, I wouldn't think.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Adoption of the draft information and communication technology policy. We have a mover for that.
Move that way.
Move Councillor Boland, seconded
Seconded.
Councillor Turley. Councillor Boland.
It's all written out there. It's part and parcel of all the modern technology. You've got to have a policy to go along with it. So it's all stock standard there.
Councillor Turley. you-
Yeah, thanks,
Comments?
Mr. Mayor. I just checking, in terms of the policy, I'm just trying to get my head around whether there's a second authenticator for the councillors, just that process. I know that with cybersecurity, it's such a big issue with AI, but I'm just wondering, within the policy, was there a second authenticator that the councillors would have to undertake?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Within our cybersecurity framework and policy, there is a second authentication for all staff for access, but at this stage hasn't been rolled out to councillors just due to the system requirements and access. So at this stage, it is still just that single access. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, just
thank
to
you.
follow on that, it was just because I know that the audit office, under their audit on cybersecurity, had actually identified that councillors weren't included in that process. So I think that's where it was from. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Boland.
From reading the policy, I believe it's because councillors just have access to the emails and we're not actually on the council's main IT system in the building. So the requirement's not as required for councillors because the risk isn't there.
Thank you. Councillor Turley.
Happy to seek some advice about that, because quite often it's the fake emails are the biggest issue, and a lot of companies these days are testing with all their staff and elected members and doing phishing, checking if we're actually opening up fake emails or responding to them. So I kind of think that it's a good adoption. It's not too difficult to make sure that we do have protection around the system. Just a thought.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3, disposal of surplus equipment, tiered seating. We have a mover for that. Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded.
They're going to
Councillor Allgate. Deputy Mayor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I'd like to move that way, but add item 5 to it. So I'll read out the things that, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 4125 dated March 12, 2025. We received that 2, that council approves the sale of retractable tiered seating purchased as part of the Civic Centre refurbishment in 2016. 3, that the general manager be authorised to negotiate sale of the items by auction, expression of interest or private treaty, or it could add to that or to be available to donate these to charity or interested sporting groups,
Local community group.
local community groups, yeah, that they could donate those. Or 4, the general manager be authorised to dispose of the items for scrap value if no willing purchaser can be found.
Or group to donate.
Yeah, all groups to donate, yes, there was some.
You want to speak on that?
I do, yeah. Look, this is another one of these few things that happened in 2016 where they paid about 250,000 for the chairs that were too heavy for the building. So we now give them away, but anyway, that's what happens. Thank you.
The Civic Centre, the gift that keeps on giving.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, it's just hasn't put up scrap it. It's got or donate to local community groups. But another point that the
So,
Deputy Mayor said was to scrap it.
no, just at number 4. So it said that the general manager be authorised to dispose of the item for scrap value if no willing purchaser or volunteer or local group can be found that wants the chairs. Yeah, look, there is an opportunity for those chairs, $250,000 for chairs that we're going to sell for $1,000. Probably costs us more to get them to wherever they've got to go. Then get rid of it. So chairs that were bought for a Civic Centre that's cost us millions and millions of dollars in legal fees. Now we're getting rid of some chairs that has cost us money to store in storage. Hopefully we can get some value out of it by giving it to some local group. There is a number of groups that have said that they are interested. For example, not necessarily interested in those chairs, but for example, tennis was speaking about they might be able to get tournaments here if they had some sort of seating down there or temporary seating that could be installed. So there's an opportunity there. Over at the Trades Hall, they're looking at doing the outdoor boxing area to mimic what it was like many years ago. So there's another opportunity with chairs there. Some of our stands for cricket, zinc, for example, terrible, splinters, etc. So there could be some potential there. So if we can get some use out of those chairs for local organisations, and I'm sure it'll be put out to many organisations if they're interested, because they are big, heavy duty chairs. They're well made, just too heavy duty and well made for our Civic Centre floor to cope with. So if we can find a use, that would be great. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The investment report for February, moved councillor Boland, seconded councillor Aldgate, councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Good time to be diversified away from equities and in some term deposits right now. So as I always say, well balanced, but this month that balanced portfolio's really come home to roost. And when you're getting between 4 and 5% term deposit interest and some low risk bonds, it makes it a lot easier than having that most of that money tied up in the equity market.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5, minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held November. We have a mover for that? November.
Yeah, move that way.
Moved in February 2025. Councillor Aldgate?
Move it.
Yep. Seconded councillor Byrne. Councillor Aldgate, you want to speak to that?
Not really.
Thank you. Any speakers? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Further reports. Item number 1, correspondence, Broken Hill Harness Racing Club. We have a mover for that. Moved councillor Turley, seconded councillor Aldgate. Councillor Turley, speak to that.
Oh, it's just correspondence back from the Minister, Mr. Mayor. I think it's such a really sad time last St. Pat's that we didn't have the harness racing, and I hope one day this council can lobby enough for it to return.
I think that we should be writing off, accept the correspondence, but you should be writing off to Harness New South Wales, expressing our deep regret for the lack of action they've taken, or I'll go a step further, the lack of action and including the actions they've taken, which was virtually the reason that we did not have a harness race meeting go on in St. Pat's. One horse. They stopped the race meeting for one horse. You happy to add that, councillor Turley?
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I think it's more dissatisfaction as well, not even that this has happened. Like, we're not satisfied at all with this.
No. Happy to second that. Any other speakers on that? It is an important one, if anyone does want to speak on that, because it's something that has gone on we've had in Broken Hill for decades, and we could lose it because Harness New South Wales and TAB have been privatised, and it means that it's all about making money. Councillor Deputy Mayor Hickey.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I know that the president of the local harness racing and his committee worked tirelessly to try and get this to happen and to save the day and save the season. Unfortunately, they were beaten by someone from Harness Racing New South Wales who decided it needed one more horse and had 29, you needed 30, and they would not allow it to go ahead, which is so disappointing and so harsh, because other race clubs can have them and have they pull out just prior to races and they still let it run, but not us. So I think that we really, as a council, need to help out harness racing, our local club, do our very best for them and see if we can get something over the line for next season. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour, Councillor Boland?
I just want to say that obviously Sydney doesn't want Broken Hill racing out here. It's too much of a drag on obviously spending their money in Sydney. You go out, I'd spent evening at the harness racing track out at Penrith, and the less it was said about my night on the pump there, the better. But it has got really, really good facilities that are paid for, and they get state government grants, and they've fallen over backwards. But obviously out here it's too far away, and I think Harness Racing New South Wales has made it quite clear they don't want Broken Hill. They don't want Broken Hill racing, and it's about time they're taking the task on that. And maybe the regulator can go and visit them and ask them why they don't want Broken Hill racing.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Appointment of delegates to vacancies on 355 committees other than committees and working groups.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if we should defer this to our newly elected councillor, countback councillor is appointed, so we can understand what committees they would like to take up, and then we can assess the others.
We have a seconder for that. Second to Councillor Byrne. Does anyone have a problem with waiting to know who the new councillor is? Right, okay, so there's been none of these committees have met since and it'll be another month. So do we have anyone that would be willing to be on these committees, and then what's left will go to the other councillor? We have anyone that wants to be on any of these committees? Councillor Turley?
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to nominate for the Infrastructure and Environment Standing Committee, the Broken Hill Liquor Accord, and the Australia Day Committee. And I'm happy to consider afterwards. As you may recall, I was away at the time for the committee structure appointment. But after the newly elected councillor, another councillor is nominated, if there's any other vacancies, I'm happy to consider that.
Just on the Infrastructure and Environmental Standing Committee, that will be the only committee that the councillor will be on. So we'll leave that one for whoever the new councillor is. But do we have the seconder for the other committees? Seconded, Councillor Byrne. All those in favour for Councillor Turley on those committees? Carried unanimously. We have any other? Councillor Gillett?
I would like to be considered for the agent.
Okay. We have a seconder for that. All those in favour? Councillor Gillett for that one. Do we have anyone else for any of these?
Mayor Kennedy, I'd like to be considered for the grant advisory committee,
Community
the
grants.
performance review committee and the Memorial Oval Committee.
You have a seconder for that? Seconded councillor Jewett. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have anyone else interested? Councillor Chandler?
I'd like to put a thing for the Western Divisions Council.
Western Divisions? We're not on that at the moment.
Oh, okay. Member of the Murray Darling Association.
Murray Darling,
Association.
you're the oh, you're the chairman, aren't you? Yeah, you're the chairman. We've got a chairman for that one. Yeah. Any others? Councillor Jewett.
I'd like to nominate for the title chairman, so we can.
All right, you have seconder for that? Councillor Boland, all those in favour? Carried. And we better leave some for. Oh. Oh, just turn you, yeah. So we'll leave some for councillor, who's the new councillor. Oh, righto, so that's been dealt with, the others to be held over. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Attendance of council delegates at the official opening of the Wentworth Visitor Centre. We have a mover for that. It's retrospective motion. Moved councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Jewett. Councillor Allgate.
I had the privilege of accompanying the mayor and the deputy mayor to Wentworth for the opening of the Wentworth Tourist Centre, which was the old licence club, the former licence club. A lovely presentation with an Aboriginal dancers out the front of the centre to start with, and then sessions inside. At the conclusion of the luncheon, we had a meeting with the Minister for Local Government, Ron Honig. A good meeting, as always been the case when Broken Hill City Council meets Ron. He has been very sympathetic to our general views, and is working along the lines that for big changes to local government in lots of areas, and one in particular, the code of conduct, which has been used as a tool to get back at people in Broken Hill. He's well aware of what's happened in the past, not only here but elsewhere. And all in all, I think it was a worthwhile attending that particular event, particularly given the fact that we had an audience an hour and a quarter with the minister, and you don't often get those sort of invitations given out willy-nilly.
Thank you, councillor Allgate. Deputy Mayor. No, nothing to say. Yeah, it was a good event, and it's good to just support our council neighbours. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Agency Information Guide draft.
Move that way.
Move councillor Boland, seconded councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. This is actually an important document that I encourage everyone in the community to have a quick read through. It really sets out the operations of council and how we operate, meeting practice and everything. So it's got an interesting name, but it's quite an important document.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Anyone else? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5, Pro Heart mural, non-compliant glass removal. Do we have a mover for that? Move councillor Gillett, seconded councillor Byrne. Councillor Gillett. Speak to that? No? All good? If you do Councillor Byrne, you'd like to speak to that? If you do read through that report, it's quite expensive, so we're gonna have to make sure we do something. Yeah, cheaper. I don't know if people actually have read what is required there. There is talk of just a perspex barrier, and that probably would be the way we'll go, but if near $500,000. So anyway.
This is just an assessment to have it options, isn't it? That's how I read it.
That is right.
That is
We're not
correct. Thank
moving
you.
for $500,000, but that's an important assessment because it is an expensive, there's a few very, very expensive options in there.
Yeah, I mean, just to comment on that, I went through that process when the refurbishment of the club was undertaken, and a small bit of glass for a mineral display was $25,000, and the minerals are now stored in the safe.
Yeah. Righto. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 6, minutes of the local traffic committee. Councillor Allgate, you happy to move those?
Yes, move that way.
Seconded.
Second.
Councillor Jewett. Councillor Allgate.
Oh, it was an interesting meeting, Mr. Mayor. The first thing, one of the early things was the YMCA requesting a designated staff parking area and a change to the taxi zone to a loading zone. The committee basically decided to the council to investigate what the YMCA expects, but also the size of the current taxi zone and how big the trucks, the delivery trucks, and that might be for the centre itself. And it's really now in the council's hands to investigate that matter. One of the other important things were there are 40 kilometre an hour flashing signs down at Williama High School. There are some people that have been fined for speeding in that area as a result of those flashing lights not being observed, even though there's no school there. Apparently it's no excuse. So the suggestion is temporarily to place bags over the existing signs and wait on the New South Wales Department of Education as to decide what they want to do in terms of continuing the signs or removing them. However, they said it was quoted by the motor transport representative that it could cost up to at least $30,000 for each set of those lights. So I think probably the answer will be just to put a bag over them until they start working down there in demolishing the place. Complaints about angle parking in Chloride Street, particularly at Morgan and Thomas Street intersections. The angle parking reduces the sight distance for cars coming out of Morgan Street, and also for cars coming out of the exit in the hospital grounds. And I think the suggestion was that perhaps 2 or 3 angle parks will be removed and put parallel parking for the first 2 or 3 alongside the intersection so that it improves the sight distance. If you come out from beyond the hospital, you've got to really go out into the centre of the road before you can see who's coming either way. And that's not good. And there was some discussion about the truck stop on the Adelaide Road. Apparently motor transport can't do anything about that until the DA has been submitted, and then they will look at it and make a decision on one way or the other, whether it's going to be approved or what. That's about it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Councillor Byrne.
I just suggest that when the next meeting is $30,000 figure about flashing lights at Williama High School, they can be turned off because the other ones in town don't flash if it's school holidays.
No,
So
that's right.
just turn them off. Don't see
Yeah.
it a big deal.
Yeah, I agree totally. Councillor Boland, would you like to talk about how you got those 40K zones at those schools? when you were
May
15?
have been my debut many years ago when I had a bit more hair.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Action list report, we have a mover for that. Councillor Chandler, you're taking it over, are you? Seconded. Councillor Jewett, Councillor Chandler.
Yeah, I think these reports are real good and we get to see more and more in the greens.
Good job. Well done.
Dave, you got that?
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions taken on notice from the previous council meeting. Do we have a mover for that?
Right.
Councillor Allgate, seconded. Councillor Boland, Councillor Allgate, anything on those questions? No. Questions for the next meeting arising from items on the agenda? Do we have any questions? Councillor Turley?
Look, I just had two, and I can't remember where I seen there's a reference in the report around it. But I'm just curious, they've just announced the Fresh Start program funding for the training and apprenticeship stage 2. And I wondered, did we receive any funding for stage 1? And are we applying for funding for stage 2?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we did receive funding for stage 1. We had 6 apprentices and trainees, and we are applying for stage 2 for another 6 apprentices and focusing on the actual apprenticeships for stage 2. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's excellent to
you.
hear, Mr. Mayor, and these are one of these projects that came out of the state government that really has helped us ignite our investment in apprenticeships and traineeships. My next question was relating to Home Street, and it was just looking at the state, nothing to do with Home Street, so, but looking at the state of the replica of the picnic train, and before it gets into such a poor state that it's going to cost as much money as it would to clean up or replace barriers and that for the Pearl Heart painting. Can we ask that for a review of the state of the picnic train? It really is in a poor state.
We'll follow that up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just on the apprenticeships, thank you to the general manager and all involved for that. We did mention that with Ron Honig. Ron Honig sends his best to the council. He said he was really flattered meeting our trainees and apprentices. He thought it was great. He said, not very often do you go to places where you are welcomed so much. I think it was Deputy Mayor Hickey that told him that the people that did meet with him were over the moon. So he was over the moon that it has worked so well in Broken Hill. So congratulations to all involved, because not only is it a good thing for all involved, the minister, who's partly involved in it, is over the moon with Broken Hill over that issue. Do we have Councillor Byrne?
Yeah, look, I can't speak high enough of apprentices and putting people through apprenticeship. I was an apprentice electrician and I gave back to my company over 20 years of service. So, and a lot of council employees too have stayed and stuck around. So if you do your apprenticeship locally, you tend to stay, and that keeps people in the city. And I dare say that without a shadow of a doubt that the apprentices that have come from Broken Hill are some of the best quality apprentices in the nation.
I agree. Do we have any questions for the next meeting? No. You move on to public forum session. The second public forum session of 15 minutes will consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were considered by council at this meeting only. Do we have any speakers that would like to speak? Mr. Coles, Bob, do you want to just say your name for the tape?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bob Cools. Yeah, just on the comments that Councillor Allgate made about the parking near the hospital. It is extremely difficult, and even the ambulances, the drivers that I've spoken to, I don't know their names, have a great difficulty coming out with all the traffic angle parked, which is very dangerous. Because as Councillor Allgate said, you've got to come right out onto the road, the main thoroughfare, before we can see if there's any traffic coming. the idea of angled parking is a good idea to fit in more cars. The big problem is it's on the wrong side of the road. And your idea about doing away with the first few angle parks so people can see is a good idea, councillor Allgate. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, so it was suggested that they would be removed, but if you just did the first few, I think it'll address that issue anyway. So I think there'll be a good outcome. Angle parking does allow for a lot more parking, and you probably want the angle parking on the same side as the hospital as opposed to out front of people's houses. I think there might be a few people that wouldn't be too happy with with angle parking out the front of their residence. So, do we have any? Do we have any other speakers that would like to get up and speak? No. So we move to confidential matters. There's only a couple of confidential matters, so it'll only take a few minutes if people do want to stick around. So we have a mover to go into closed session. Move councillor Burns, seconded councillor Boland. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The general manager will just read out the resolutions that were passed in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Item one, tender Q24/45 supply agreement for security services. Council resolved one, that Broken Hill City Council tender report number 2/25 dated March 19, 2025 be received. And two, that Broken Hill City Council award tender Q24/45 to Wade Stevens Security and enter into a supply agreement for a period of 24 months with the option to extend for a further 12 months. Item two, Broken Hill City Council report number 38/25, Council resolved one, the Broken Hill City Council report number 38/25 dated February 20, 2025 be received. Two, that council enter into a new license agreement with the New South Wales Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water to place monitoring equipment with the Mulga Creek wetlands. Three, that the license duration be 3 years. Four, that the mayor and general manager be authorised to sign and execute the license documents under the common seal of council. Thanks, Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you, General Manager. There's no further business. We'll declare the ordinary